be if Jesus were here today as our guest speaker? Wow, wouldn't that be great? Master teacher right here and have Jesus here. How wonderful. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Do you ever wonder what would he preach about if you gave him the opportunity to be here right now? What would he preach on? Well, you know what? We have his great Sermon on the Mount. We do have that to read, to study, to examine, to look at, and to find that he's teaching us yet today as we look at that text. Now, you read a portion of his sermon, so you got a little snippet of what he might be saying if he were here today. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Wow. Seeing God, wouldn't that be wonderful? To see God, that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I can remember as a preacher's kid in Sunday school, the mere idea that they said, wow, one day we will see God. Ooh, and as a little kid, I thought, how cool. I can just see now. Here he is dressed in a beautiful white robe, of course. And there's God with that fluffy big beard. You know, why is it always we saw God, just a big beard in all the images that people would show? And of course, he's got lots of great hair, and it's white, long, and flowing. God could never be bald. And my dad made it very clear as a preacher, that was true. God couldn't be bald because you know why? Because if you lose hair here in front, you're a thinker. And if you lose hair back here, you are a lover. And if you lose hair here and here, you just think you're a lover. And we know that's not who God is. So I just knew that God couldn't be bald. How wonderful, long hair, big beard, wonderful robe, fluffy hair. And of course, he was going to be sitting on this huge, and it's going to be huge throne, of course. It's going to be gigantic. It's going to be massive, and in heaven there never could be a lazy boy lounger. That wouldn't be appropriate. So my image was God sitting propped up, straight away, straight back, sitting there on this wonderful throne, kind of busy though. Yeah, I pictured him kind of busy, judging, busy handing out punishments, sitting up there on that throne looking down and saying, John, maybe, you're not behaving so well. And Roberto, I got your number here, and sitting up there on that throne, throwing out all those kind of judgments. And then, of course, lots of people begging for his attention. I could see that, everybody up there making distracting noises, bargaining, pleading. Poor guy, you wonder, he probably tunes half of it out, because a lot of people seem to just keep asking and asking and asking as if they think God never heard them. And so, I'm sure God's sitting up there thinking, stop with the whining, would you please? This is my childhood impression of what it might be when we see God. And of course, we all know that God would be left-handed. Why? Because the scripture says Jesus is sitting on the right hand of the Father. He has to be left-handed. Boom, boom. Okay. You see, it's kind of silly, isn't it, when we think about seeing God in this way? But how often it is that we've held on to some elements of this crazy conscious idea that we have that God is a being, a physical entity, and we're looking to see God one day sitting on a throne, white beard, robes, and busy handing out punishments, and that kind of consciousness that we may have around who and what God is. It just really comes to show that maybe we don't quite understand exactly what the scriptures have been unfolding and teaching about who and what God is. Maybe we've missed the boat of really understanding everything that Jesus tried to impart to us as to who and what God is. Power is what God is. Presence is what God is. Infinite knowledge and wisdom, intelligence is what God is. All of this at work. And yet we want to package it up somehow in some sort of being that we might look at and experience some sort of physical entity, or that we might pray to some physical entity in some way. And isn't it amazing what we're constantly saying is, I want to bring the spiritual down, and I just want it to be limited and physical. I just want God to be this kind of being, this something, this that would be a man walking in on the clouds, moving from a throne to maybe taking a view down on Georgia and looking to maybe cast some lightning bolts, and this kind of crazy childhood ideas that we have that unfold about what our understanding of God is. Yet that which is God cannot be seen by the physical eye, because of the wonderful power, the wonderful presence, the wonderful energy that we may call that is at work within our lives. You feel it, don't you? Haven't you felt the presence of God, that energy touching your life? Haven't you felt almost this vibrational experience that people may talk about, that, wow, I just spine-tingling moment of sensing and feeling and knowing God is here, God is in the midst, God is with me, God is around me, God is flowing through me. Well, when we understand that, why would we try to limit God in any way? Because if this dynamic experience is happening for you here in Atlanta, it's also happening for people in China and Argentina. It's happening in France. It's happening in wonderful places throughout Russia and India and Australia and around the world. So why would we then want to limit in any way our concepts of God? The question is, well, will we ever see God? Well, Jesus' sermon says, those who are pure in heart are blessed, are happy, because in this wonderful journey they will see, and it will be so evident for them, this wonderful power, this wonderful presence, this wonderful intelligence. It will be there for you. So yes, the promise is there that here and now you could experience, you could see God. Wow. Not in the white robe, fluffy beard, long hair, not being bald. None of that, but to see and experience the very presence, power, and the intelligence of God at work in this very moment. Now, Jesus taught and brought to us this wonderful insight, saying, happy and blessed will you be when you have this pure heart. Pure. Pure, what's pure? Well, it's 100%, right? Anything that says pure, you read the label, it says it's pure virgin oil. That means it's 100%, right? It's got nothing else in it. It doesn't have this, no additives. It's 100% pure. Well, a pure heart, a consciousness that is completely pure, the heart being that wonderful understanding of that which our thought may be, our very intent and desire, that which is within us. A pure heart that is 100% full of an awareness of good, not defiled with thoughts about anything other than good. Pure heart can't be, it's 75% good thoughts, and then there's 25% of some not so good thoughts, you know? And that's not the pure heart at all, is it? It's got to be 100% that we are then living from this perspective that we're seeing the world as it was created. That's right. How was this world created? At the end of creation, what did God say? It's okay. Yeah, I can live with it. No, he said it's good, right? God said it's good. In other words, wow, I created, and everything that has been created is good. And you too, in the likeness and the image of God, have been created good. Turn to someone and say, you're good. Come on, put some feeling into it. Come on, say it again. You're good. You're good. All right? Say it like you believe it. Show to someone some love there that, you're good. That's what it's all about, that we have understanding, that we're seeing the world as it was created, seeing clearly without any distractions. Now, this is echoed in Matthew chapter 6, verse 22, where it's written, the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore the eye be single, thy whole body will be full of light. In other words, if your body be single, meaning pure and full of the good and all good, 100% good, the very essence of how you see the world is seeing the all good in all ways, then, but if you will be pure, but if thine eye be evil, thy whole body is going to be full of darkness. Your perspective of life then is clouded and not clear. How many of you remember the TV show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy? Do you remember that TV show out there? Yeah, some of you watched it, Some of you straight guys may have needed that little help. Some of you gay guys wanted to give the help. Some of you lesbians says, I don't know why. The show even exists. So on it goes, but I'm just saying, Jesus might have been offering the show the single eye for the God-seeing guy, okay? That might be the better description, because the single eye, single means not partnered with, and we all know what that's like. Not partnered, to be single, to be all alone, okay? So it means that it's not partnered with anything else. When your consciousness is so single, so clear, it's the all good, it's the pure heart, not coupled with anything else, not tainted by anything else, but the single eye, the vision, the very intent of your heart that speaks out every single day is full of the goodness. That's what Jesus is talking about. Your whole light will be filled, your whole lamp, your whole being will be filled with this wonderful goodness. When you have that single eye, that focused vision, you might say, that outlook in life that says, I see the good in everything. Now, we understand this as we look to the story of Adam and Eve. And when we look to that story, we find, of course, in simplicity, that they were tempted to eat of the fruit of the tree of good and evil, right? What are we saying? You know, prior to this time, they walked with the single eye, the pure heart, walking in the garden. The story is this wonderful metaphor, the simplicity of us understanding this process that when they began to eat, partake of that good and evil, that duality, when they began to see the world, to say, oh, wait a minute, I see not so purely anymore. I don't see the all good in this situation. I'm looking to the bad, and I'm putting a lot of energy into the bad, and I'm looking to say, here's some evil, here's some things going wrong. Let's just really focus on this evil. Let's put it, and whatever you focus on expands, doesn't it? Whatever you give your attention to expands. So suddenly now you're divided. Good and evil. Adam and Eve are in this place. And suddenly they welcomed a duality of seeing things. Now everything good was suddenly clouded over with darkness. How do I see with clarity the good in every experience? And when God came to visit them in the garden, they were hiding as if they were hidden and having a difficult time now in this experience because their vision and experience of all that is power and presence, all that is intellect and knowledge and wisdom for them is now clouded over, saying, I don't know if I really believe this. I don't know if I'm really 100% pure in heart on thinking on this. I don't know that there's all good in my world anymore. I'm going to give some energy to believing there's some evil going on, and I might just entertain it, welcome it, think about it, dwell on it in some ways. And that which was good before is now seen in shame, for their eyes were clouded over, and suddenly now they're thinking that which was good is to be embarrassed and shameful, and they're saying, whoops, I'm naked now, as if there's something evil in that process. So you see, really, the whole story of the Garden of Eden is us coming back to this clarity of vision, letting go of the good and evil, this duality that pulls us apart in how we see our world. And we might be able to sing that song, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone, right? Or how about, I can see clearly now, the evil is gone. In other words, we've let go of seeing the evil in the world in our lives, letting go of putting our energy, our conversation, our very thought around this is what's bad, this is what's bad. Oh, let's talk about the bad. Let's gossip about it, let's share it, let's write it down, let's Facebook about it, of course, and let's reshare and post all the bad that we can find, and let's really get everybody engaged in this wonderful process of highlighting, expanding focus on all the evil in this world. But you see, the real passage of that song says, gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. And let me tell you this, when our eyes are off of God, the all good, when our eyes are off of the presence, and we're not seeing it every single day in every aspect of our life, we're living in that clouded world of being blinded. But once we release all of that, it's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. That's really our mantra. That's what we want to sing. For our success is found in our willingness to see with a single eye, to live with a pure heart, to be 100% in the good, to see in all things God's wonderful power at work within us. It's an undivided vision that we're called. It's seeing the good in everything and everyone that allows us to possess everything that was promised to us. That's right. The way that you're going to possess all these wonderful promises that God has already offered to you. Wow, they're amazing. ancient truths down from the ages have echoed this over and over again, saying, do you realize that God will direct your paths? Do you realize that God will make a way for you? Do you realize that God's intent is to bless you? Do you realize that what you sow, you reap, and as you've been sowing good things, you're now ready to reap some blessings? Do we understand all these things? That everything that is there and already promised to us, the only way we'll possess it is if we're willing to see the good, the God, in every scenario and every day of our life. It's illustrated in the beautiful story in the Old Testament. 12 spies. 12 spies sent out by Moses. For the children of Israel had come to the edges of this promised land. Their promised property, this promised place where they might live, this promised wonderful future for their lives. And they're on the cusp of it. And as they prepare to move in as a nation, as they prepare to possess that which is promised for them, Moses says, why don't we send in 12 spies, one from every tribe? We'll send one in, a spy from every tribe, to check it out. And in Numbers chapter 13, the scripture says that Moses is saying, see what the land is like. Whether the people are there that are living there, are they strong or weak, few or many? Is the land that they live in good or bad? Check it out. Tell us what you're going to tell us. Show us. Go out and check it out. The spies went out and looked into the land. There were those who saw immense abundance. There was all kinds of prosperity and wonderful blessing awaiting for them in this land. Yet there were others who came with stories like, whoa, we ain't going in there. Those people are huge. They're giants. They're going to be big challenges. Oh, my Lord, the problems are so great. All we can see is that this is not the place that you want to be. Wait a minute. How will you possess the land if you can't see the good? These are the very promises of God that are given to us to say, there's something awaiting for you already, but if you're not able to see the good, and you're going to already dismiss the process of God's unfolding work in your life by saying, too many obstacles for God to bless me. Too many challenges. There are far too many giants in the pathway. There are far too many obstacles. It just ain't going to work. Now what happened? Those who came back with a report saying, I just can't see clearly. I can't see the all good. I can't see that God is making a way. All I see is the way that is in the way. Those never went in because the scripture says they were hit by a plague and they died. And the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years of wandering, never getting to that promised place. The two who had the outlook of seeing the all good, the possibilities, the potential of God to work in them, they were able to go in and possess the land. Big difference because of the outlook, the view. They saw God in, through, and around in all things. They began to see, I see possibilities, I see potential, I see great things unfolding for me. They had the single eye, the pure heart vision that enabled them to attract what they see. Let me tell you this, when you see good, it attracts good. When you see evil, oh honey, you'll see a lot of evil. It'll just come to you because you'll be so tuned into evil, you'll start seeing it more and more and more and more. You know how that is? Robert and I just purchased a house. We bought a Tudor house. We hadn't really thinking about Tudor design or Tudor style, yet it's one of Robert's favorites. And suddenly, as we're driving around, we're going, wow, I didn't realize how many Tudor homes there are. And in our neighborhood, our subdivision, there are 4 other Tudor homes. And as we drove to another subdivision, there were Tudor homes there. Wow, how many people are building Tudor homes? I never really saw that before, that style. Wow, I guess I wasn't paying attention because what we see, we'll see more of. Isn't that the truth? And if you're seeing good, you're only going to see more of the good, more of the good. And so your eyes are pure and your vision is single-minded. It's not dual there, torn apart. It's not clouded. It's not shaded over in any way, but you're all seeing the good. I see the good, and you'll attract the good, and you'll open your eyes to even more of the good, and it will be there. You see, in this Bible story, the 12 spies, that's us. That's right, you're one of them. You're one of them. You're one of the 12 spies. The Bible story is you. And it's asking the very question as you go into the daily world around you and you're asked to sort of check it out, what will you see and what will be your report that comes back? Will you see the opportunities that are available in your life and the potential that's there? Or will you be seeing with fear and seeing that everything that looks like obstacles and saying, I can't do this? The story is our story. Will we wander in the wilderness? Will we be afflicted by the plague? Will we miss out? Or will we go in and possess everything that's promised to us? It all depends. Do you have the pure heart, the single eye? Because you'll see God unfolding in any and everything. This was a test for the children of Israel, a big test that says, are you ready? And I want to tell you this. I think God is asking you the very same question today. Are you ready? It's going to be based on how you see the world. Because God is always ready to unfold blessing in your life. Ready. You don't have to wait on God. God's already there. 10 steps ahead of you. The universe is already unfolding goodness, and already its intent and plan is for your blessing and your highest and best. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready for it? Because if you're not ready, you won't see it. And when you're not ready, you can't experience that God is in the now right here. You're thinking, oh, someday I will get to heaven and I will see God then. Right now, I ain't seeing no God, and it's not going to be part of my life, and I don't see the good, and all I can see is my life is all about facing this evil. And then we miss that which is promised. So what do? Well, the ancient Hebrews were all about a sense of purity. The Hebrew tradition was always about washing and cleansing for a sense of purity to realign their lives. And in that washing traditions that they set aside in the Levitical laws and all through the ancient scriptures that talk about ancient Jewish traditions, such as, if you encounter some bodily fluids or blood or these kind of things, you need to wash yourself, purify yourself, set aside yourself for a period of time. There are all these kind of purity rituals which are symbolic of this wonderful message that says, if you don't have the pure heart, that's okay. You can wash that heart clean by simply releasing and letting go. Cleansing. Letting go of those thoughts that have tainted the purity of your heart and consciousness. Releasing them, letting them go. Scripture says that we put away to make room for the new. Behold, the old is passed away, and I make all things new. When we're willing to let the old, those thoughts of evil that have held us back, those thoughts of saying, all I can see is the disappointment. All I can see is that my life is a mess. All I can see from this perspective is the bad. When you let go of that, suddenly you have a renewed vision, and you'll be able to see the world as we're called to. Why? Because our success, our ability to see God, to see the good in all things, really depends upon our ability to release and let go of any duality. It's like you ate of the apple of good and evil. Let's all spit the evil out, okay? And let's chew on the good. Because that duality has tainted our perspective. The only world that can appear to us is the world that we mentally perceive, that you see. If you see your world a mess, oh, honey, it's a mess. And I'm going to join with you and say, you're right. Your world is just a mess. And when you see your world as the all good, suddenly that's the world that can appear to you. Is the all good before you. Your mental perception is the key, so that's why we clear. And the scripture says, be ye renewed, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Let this change happens in you, in your spiritual outlook. Let this change say to you, I am letting go. I'm spitting out the bad part of that apple, and I'm going to chew on the good, shall we say. I'm going to embrace that. This is where I make my choice today, and I'm renewing my whole perspective on life, that suddenly what you have is an inner vision. Because let me tell you, your horizon is limited to the confines of your own consciousness, of your own thinking, of that inner vision. And there's beautiful horizons out there, wonderful vistas, gorgeous places, promised lands, promised blessings that are waiting to unfold for you. But we cannot see the good while we're looking at the evil, because Scripture tells us very clearly, do you know what you'd be like to be pulled this way and pulled that way until suddenly you almost implode because you're torn between a viewpoint of the evil of the world and the good of the world, and you're living in this duality? And you're being pulled constantly this way, that way, until one day you feel like it's just splitting you apart because your faith can never grow and be strong because it's constantly tainted with the fear and the doubt and the sense of there's all evil around me. And so suddenly all I am doing is embracing the darkness, yet I want to cling to the light, to the truth, to the good, and I'm being pulled all apart. You see, what a crazy place that puts us in. We understand that good is found in the eye of the beholder of good. Beauty is found in the eye of the beholder. Let me tell you, good is found in the eye of the beholder of good. Last Friday night, our board of directors and myself, we traveled to a conference here in Atlanta where we had this wonderful experience where everybody was invited to join in a circle of seeing the good in one another. So we numbered off in this huge auditorium. There were numbers 1 and number 2. Number 1 stood in a big circle, and number 2 stood in an inner circle inside, facing each other. So the number 1s faced the number 2s, the number 2s faced the number 1s, and the music began to play. And the invitation was, just see the good. See the beauty in that person in front of you. Now, of course, it was a little uncomfortable at first because sometimes we're staring into someone's face and into their eyes, and it got a little uncomfortable, and then the music would move, and they said, and now move. And number 2 moved to the next person. And I was staring at the person in their face, and I'm looking for the good and smiling, and all of a sudden, I wasn't looking at what they're wearing or their hair or their facial expressions. I was looking for the good. I saw the good. I saw the beauty in their heart. And suddenly I began to feel this circle of love happening as stranger after stranger stood in front of me, and the invitation was, I see the good. I see the beauty. I see the God in you. I see the gorgeous, wonderful goodness of infinite presence, knowledge, and wisdom unfolding in you. I see nothing but your immense beauty. And as we practiced this over and over again, the energy of the room began to lift until there was such a crescendo of a feeling of love. Some people grabbed hands with one another. Some people said, I got to hug you. Some people began to cry with tears. Some people said, this is amazing. The wonderful feeling that happened across that wonderful room of strangers, because we all had the intention of seeing the good in all things and in all people. You see, this is really important. The book of Numbers ends the story of the 12 spies with this. It will be your sons, your daughters, your children. It'll be those who do not see good and evil who are going to enter in the promised land. There's the very promise for us. When we see the good and let go of the evil, when we see the all goodness of God in all things, all people, everyone, we enter into all that has been promised for us. I want to tell you, there's amazing joy and peace and happiness, incredible contentment that is there promised for your life, and it awaits you. Don't miss it. Don't be like the 10 who said, the obstacles are too great. Be like the sons and daughters of those tribes who took some time to realize, I got to let go. I'm not seen in a world of duality. I just welcome every day the all good. Oh, that is a beautiful journey in our lives. You may think that that's a Pollyanna world where, oh, focus, we've got to see something evil. Come on, give it to me. Let me have a little bit of evil, can't I? Can't we just focus on a little bit of bad and talk a little bit about someone another and see some bad in you and some evil. And over here, we just, no. We can't say 100% good. Do you want to enter the promised land? Jesus already preached to us. Jesus already taught to us. It's when you're 100% pure that you see God. The choice is ours. Amen.